Welcome back to the Malted Man Cave, and again we have the infamous David Bruns. Tonight we're going to be doing Booker's Bourbon, which comes in at a whopping 63.9 ABV. Of course, it is unchill filtered and not colored. Let's see a little bit about what they say about this whiskey. It says the whiskey in this package is the highest grade bourbon created by me here at Jim Beam. It is bottled uncut and unfiltered. My grandfather Jim Beam liked his whiskey from 6 to 8 years old. Let me take a little gander at the bottle. And for those extreme aficionados, this is the batch, what does it say? Batch 2, 2006, TAC 06. So a little bit about Booker's. It is part of the luxury offshoots of Jim Beam. And Booker No was the great-grandson of Jim Beam. And apparently the legend goes that Booker, for Christmas, would actually have this cast-strength whiskey that he would, uncut, unchill filtered, and all that jazz, and he would give it to his friends. Very much like Glenn Farkless. There's a story about Glenn Farkless, 105, where he gave it out to his relatives and close friends, and they loved it. Same thing with this. Booker No gave it out to all of his friends and family, and they just loved it so much. So he's like, you know what? We're going to make this available to the public, and thank goodness that he did. So, without further ado, do you have anything you want to say about this before we get into a little bit about how we got into malt?
I just wanted to let you know that it's good to be down in your basement again. It's always
good to be down.
It's always a good evening in the basement.
So, we got a comment from aquavitae.com. Again, this is the second time I'm going to make a shout out to him. He's an awesome guy. He's actually a real Scottishman, and he knows his stuff. And he's just now getting started. He has a website at aquavitae.com, and he's actually starting YouTube. Check him out. He's really, really good. He's a really good guy. But he actually, one of his comments said he kind of wanted to know how I got into malt. So I thought I'd tell you guys a little bit about how I got into single malt and also into bourbon. And then David is going to tell you a little bit about him as well. So for me, it all started, and Dave is actually included in how I got into it. For those of you who have watched the great, iconic movie Anchorman, kind of the main character, Will Ferrell, always starts out like all of his like scotch, 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 down in my belly. Andre, look at me! Lanolin? Like sheep's wool?
Like sheep's wool?
I don't believe it. Anyway, so he loves scotch, and it kind of became this kind of joke in American culture, drinking scotch, scotch, scotch down on my belly. So obviously we were out when we were young and in college.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd only really had like Bud Light and I think
Ice House,
Jägermeister, Ice House. What else?
Oh, the sugary drinks.
Mike's Hard lemonades, and maybe a little Smirnoff. So I knew nothing about bourbon or single malt. But we'd heard Glenlivet. Did he actually say the word Glenlivet in English?
Yeah, three fingers of Glenlivet.
He said that?
Yeah.
So we were actually at this...
2 fingers, 3 fingers? 3 fingers.
I don't remember. But we were at this bar in Yellow Springs, Ohio, which is very famous. There's an awesome pizza restaurant called Ha Ha Pizza. And in the 70s, they're actually known for baking weed into their pizza. So, awesome town. If you're in Ohio, check it out. It's a great place. Very hippie. It's like Hippieville. But we were there at this Peaches Bar and Grill, and I decided to order. Thought I was going to be real classy. I'm going to have 3 fingers of Glenlivet, please. And I absolutely hated it. I thought it was terrible. But I totally pretended like it was so good. I was like,
Down into your belly.
Notes of pears and charred oak.
Hey, don't take all my notes.
But I totally faked it. Did you notice me faking it? Like I was like, or could you tell I didn't like it?
I don't
really remember that.
I don't really remember that night.
All right.
Peaches.
So after that night, I kind of steered clear of it for a little bit, and let's see. There's also another really good TV sitcom called How I Met Your Mother, which you really like that show.
Yeah.
And one of the Barney and Robin.
We lived together when it started. Yeah.
We used to watch it together. Yeah. And Barney and Robin were these two characters, and they always drank scotch and soda. So I got this great idea. I was like, I don't really like scotch, but maybe I like scotch and soda. And then I was like, I do like cream soda. So, whiskey connoisseurs, close your ears right now. I used to mix Glenfiddich 15 or 12 and Glenlivet 12 and 15 with cream soda.
I never even knew this.
But it was so good. It was so good.
It sounds
Scotch
delicious.
goes so good with cream soda.
That sounds
A&W cream soda. But then after that, I finally realized my heresy. And my brother-in-law, Tim Scariano, he's a F-16 fighter pilot. He really got into it. And then he got me kind of drinking a little bit. And then it was all she wrote from there. And I loved it. So, that's how I got into single malt. What about you? Into bourbon and malted?
Yeah. Actually, some of the first single malt bourbon I had was, believe it or not, Booker's, which
That's single malt.
or not, whatever. Bourbon was Booker's. I went to Louisville, Kentucky, for a bachelor party, and we went to the Jim Beam Distillery and took a tour, and I think I looked at the ABV content and chose that. I wasn't really thinking.
Did you hate it at the time, like the Abba?
Oh well, I mean, I probably didn't hate it, but I probably liked it because it was whatever 100 proof or whatever it is. But
20 proof.
No, but no, it was a good time. It was you can't help when you go to one of the distilleries in Kentucky. You can't help but have a good time. I mean, they ensure that if you're over the legal limit to drink, you're gonna have a good time there. So, no, it was a good experience.
So then you've loved bourbon.
Yeah, I've always loved bourbon. Not really mixing it as far. I've always drank bourbon either with water or just straight. But yeah, that kind of started. I mean, my friend Ryan Anderson, you know Ryan, he was really into it, and
I'm just thinking about Ryan. Should we tell a story about Ryan?
No stories about Ryan.
All right. Can you put him in a cage, Dave? We're talking about his kid. Can you put it in the cage?
Can you put it back in its cage?
I digress. All right. When was your first single malt Scotch?
Oh man.
Was it with me?
Probably with you. Probably at a bar someplace. Yeah.
You don't remember though?
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, I want to give a shout out to the Scotch Test Dummies. Scott and Bart are two amazing guys. They do amazing reviews. I don't know them real well. I don't pretend to be best friends with them, but they subscribe to me and I subscribe to them, and I just really love their videos. And I was actually listening to one of their videos, and they started one of the videos saying, 3 things that you want if the zombie apocalypse happened. And I just thought it was really cool. And I thought moving forward that it would be fun to always have some kind of question of the night, or 3 things that you would say to such and such, or 3 things that you take with you. So tonight, actually, we kind of came up with a good one, and it is, what advice would you give to younger millennials? So we are just barely, 1 year, and I'm ashamed that I'm a millennial.
We're so old.
I'm ashamed.
Old millennials.
But if we were born 1 year earlier, we would not be a millennial, correct? 83? I think it's 82. I think 82 or 81 is the cutoff.
Yeah.
And you're not a millennial. So unfortunately, we just make the cut. But what advice would you give? Don't be reading my notes. Would you give to a younger millennial, not as wise as us old top-tier millennials?
So the first thing, I am around during part of the year a lot of interns that are younger. And these interns, these younger millennials, younger than me, we're in our early 30s, so a little bit younger than us. The first thing would be work hard. A lot of times I feel like things are expected, a quick return on investment, and that's not a good way to do business. A quick return on investment, it's nice at the start, but if you work hard, eventually that's going to pay off, and if it doesn't, then you're going to find a different plan and work hard at that, and then keep going. You want me to just do all 3 real quick? Okay. And then the second one would be to do what you say. I think follow up, especially if you're working with anyone that's getting older. Even as I find myself getting older, I respect somebody that if they say they're gonna call me, and they do it, I'm sold. I mean, if they just simply do what
it's
they told
amazing
me,
how many people don't do their freaking job anymore.
yeah,
It's amazing.
So just do what you say you're gonna do, and you will wow everybody. And then the last thing is to be a good loser. Losing is a big part of life, and I know that millennials get a big like a precious snowflake, like a special snowflake, and not all millennials are like that, but definitely learn how to lose, because losing, I mean, Keith has been with me on the back of a school bus on the way home as I'm crying because I didn't play in a game. And that seemed like the worst moment of my life, but it taught me a lot about, hey, I'm still here, I need to work harder, I need to get better. So
You would have started and scored 20 points on any other team. Other than
doesn't matter.
We're like first in the state.
It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that losing is an important part of life.
Mine are actually very similar to yours. First one, in camera right here. The world does not owe you anything. Anything. But everyone, I feel like they think the world just owes them everything. And you know, we probably are a little bit more like that than our parents were,
definitely.
or the great World
I
War
think
II
anybody,
generation.
any younger, well, I don't know, old people get selfish too. I think it's a bell curve.
Yeah. And the next one is nothing is free. I'm all about, I would love free healthcare. I would love free disability. I would love free college, but somebody has to pay for it. And if we're all just mooching off the government, what's going to happen in the end? And I work in social services, and I believe in helping people and helping the poor. But nothing is free. We have to work to pay for what we have. And the last one, what was the last one I had? It was, not everything is freaking relative. It's just not. Up is up, down is down. If you go out into a street, you're going to get run over by a freaking car and die. And I just cannot stand. I get in this great melting pot of America, we have to, embrace diversity and differences, but I think it can be a slippery slope to where it's out of control. Not everything is relative. So, side sermon done. So, sorry you whiskey people that just want to hear about whiskey, but we kind of want to make this a fun vlog where we mostly do whiskey, but occasionally talk about other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, I can't talk tonight. Without further ado, let's get into some whiskey.
All right.
Do you need to pour some?
Yes, please. I always need.
I already got it. I already laid
Whenever
it
it's your good stuff, I always make sure
Yes, you
make
do.
sure I need a refill. Maybe I shouldn't pour such a.
Oh yeah, Hardline DK got on you last time.
I know.
In the comments.
Sorry.
Would you like the password so you can reply to comments as well?
I'm okay. I like just being a little voyeuristic. YouTube
Don't be a frauder. Frauderistic.
By the way, Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. All right.
What do you get?
So, the first thing, and it's pretty strong for me. Well, other than the normal bourbon tones of cinnamon and a little slight nuttiness, those things. But what I smelled the first time tonight when I had a glass of it was, and what I'm smelling now is my grandmother used to can all kinds of fruits and just everything. Everything was canned, and during the winter, I loved when she would can pears with like Red Hots, anything cinnamon,
She
sugar.
actually put candies, like Red Hot candies, inside.
Yeah, it was like infused peach.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, or pear. Yeah, it's delicious. Anyways, those pears and the cinnamon added to it reminds me so much of Booker's. And once again, it's a good remember. Like I'm enjoying this much more because of that taste or that smell to it, that scent to it. And then finally, probably going along the bourbon trail, the charred oak, it's like the campfire kind of smell to it, smoke, little smokiness.
Anything else?
And then the kind of going with the pears was candied apples, like at a fair, dipping an apple into caramel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
That's really good too. I love caramel apples. All right, so I get cinnamon red hot candies, which is pretty common in a lot of Scotch and bourbon. Vanilla, slight floral. I'm not really sure. Just like a hint of floral in the background. Fennel. You want to know how lame I am?
Did you
know
get
those spice racks that you get like when you're married or whatever,
Yeah.
or like for holiday
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah. You
I
bring
totally
pictures.
like went and I was like smelling each one. I'm like, I will be a connoisseur. I will know all the notes. So I totally get fennel.
Just don't keep a lot of like plastic bags full of your herbs and your
I
spices.
don't know if it was coriander or one of these. It's actually like balls. And I totally, as I was sniffing it, like a ball, like went up, and I was like choking on it. I think it's coriander.
So if every review has coriander in it from
Yeah.
now on, it's just the kernel that's up
Yeah.
in your nose.
It's just stuck out there. A yeasty wheat nose. I'm curious to know what kind of yeast they use. Normally it's kind of a secret. I wonder if anybody knows what kind of yeast, distiller's yeast that they
Probably
use.
somebody does.
And last but not least, this just rich corn syrupy kind of note in the background. It's absolutely fantastic. Where you get on the palate?
This isn't watered down.
What is it? 63.9. It's almost 64% ABV. That is unbelievable.
Evergreen. That's the first thing, is like that, just a very wintry, fresh taste. And it's strong at the beginning, and then it goes and it kind of rolls into those normal bourbon tastes that I'm getting. Now when I say normal, it's what I've experienced as far as the caramel, the cinnamon, and that brought me to kind of lastly on the palate, what it reminds me of is, and I don't know if in Europe if there's a different, or in Canada if there's a different name for them, but here in the States it's Werther Original, and my grandpa loved Werther's Originals, and
Every grandpa loves it.
yeah, okay,
Okay.
so but now apparently I'm a grandpa because I keep a dish in my office for patients, but really it's just me.
Nice. Have you ever told him what you do? Dave is an audiologist, right?
I work with people with hearing loss. Anyways, and
You gotta tell
internet
'em about
world, thank you for not saying, what'd you say after I said that?
Dave actually found a cockroach in a gentleman's ear at one point, right?
Early on, yes, early on. One of the first ears I looked into.
It's gonna ruin this,
Yeah.
the bourbon.
It wasn't alive. It went in alive, and it didn't come out alive.
Poor soul.
Oh.
All right. On the palate for me,
Back to the palate.
I got a sweet and sour arrival with blast of cinnamon and corn syrup, kind of like I got on the nose. Fizzy Dr. Pepper with cola notes that kind of slowly rounds into toffee, vanilla, and again, kind of that corn syrup. It's very, very rich, mouth-coating, lozengey, just because it's unchill filtered and just such a freaking hot, high ABV whiskey.
Ooh.
And last but not least, our gut. And I actually talked to Dave about this before, and he'd never had it. Bottle cap candy, no, what is it? Bottle cap soda pop candies. I think they're discontinued now. I think Willy Wonka makes them. So it's bottle cap soda pop candy, and I get like kind of the grape flavored ones. It's really, really freaking good.
That makes me want to have them.
We gotta see if we can get some. I bet you can find some of them on Amazon
sure.
somewhere. Lastly, on the finish.
On the finish, I'm still learning time frames as far as what's a long finish, what's a short finish, and what I thought was a fairly short finish turns out it's a fairly long finish. To me, at least, it goes on a couple minutes at least, and right at first, right after you've had the drink, I feel like it does a very good job of just leaving a coat of itself on your mouth, on your tongue, and it reminds me of have you ever heard of their clove cigarettes? They're made by this company, Jarm Blacks.
For those of you who are just watching this video, apparently
kidding.
we get cloves in
No, but literally
every whiskey that we taste, and then we decide to talk about cloves.
My lips, the way that this...
It does have the cinnamon clove taste,
Yeah.
to be completely honest with you. It does.
But my lips reminds me of... I'm joking around about that, but the way that your lips... here in the States, before they were made illegal, there was these candied cigarettes that actually blew out powdered sugar, and that's what it reminded me of as a kid, playing around with those candy cigarettes, probably made by Reynolds.
My mom, because we grew up in such a conservative Christian family that was so against smoking and drinking, she actually made me take those cinnamon cigarettes back and apologize for this when I was like in 4th grade. She's like, you will take those back and you will apologize. So
I stole a handful of
I'm the
nuts.
black sheep now. I'm the drinker.
I remember those big barrels of nuts, like
Yes.
at Meijer?
Yeah.
I took a big handful like peanuts and put them in my pocket. My mom found me behind the couch cracking them. She made me take them back and apologize.
Like the crack nuts?
Yeah,
The
I had a
shells?
pocket full of shells.
Nice.
Please, sir.
Anything else on the finish?
Yeah. And then just going back to the Red Hot pears with my grandma.
Well, so I get a long finish with those cinnamon red hot candies and those grape, bottle cap candies again, and with a little bit of like tobacco and some kind of sweetness.
Would you say cloves?
I'm just I would definitely say cloves. You should go have one after this. Do you
Clove,
still
clove,
buy those,
clove.
or are they like illegal now?
I have no idea.
But-
Probably.
All right, last but not least, this is like the longest review ever. What is the malted man cave mark for you?
Oh man, so Booker's, I have a history with Booker's. I enjoy Booker's. I pretty much enjoyed all of Jim Beam's products, but I would say it's a 90.
90.
90.
For me, 92.
Ooh!
This is one of my favorite bourbons. So, guys, go out and get some. This is magnificent. It's pretty affordable. I mean, it actually is one of the more expensive bourbons out there, but for what you're getting, I mean, really, for 63.9% ABV, this is like a bottle and a half compared to most bourbons. So, very delicious stuff. Go out and get some. Thanks
Your
for hanging out
92
with
makes
us.
me want to raise mine. I'm just...
That's what you get, man. So,
By the way, Kentucky, Scotland,
all right. So Kentucky.
computer paper.
Kentucky did not turn out so well, but Scotland worked out pretty good. Dave was very ingenious and actually printed it out, and we taped
Nobody
it together.
look at it really close.
But
Nothing
I
lines
appreciate
up.
you doing that.
Oh,
We're trying to
too
get
fun.
fancy here at the Malted Man Cave. So go out and get you some, guys. It's great to see you again. Leave a comment, subscribe, unsubscribe, dislike. We don't care. We're having fun.
Leave a comment.
Sláinte.
See ya.